So we've got some golden and rare 49ers video content. QBs 1 and 2, Brock Purdy and Mac Jones working out together in Jacksonville with the help of some 49ers receivers, namely Ricky Pearsall and Jacob Cowing. And this is from Pearsall's YouTube channel, so we're going to highlight him first. I think that he's ready to take a leadership stride in year 2. Have a listen to Ricky breaking down this route with some technical expertise added by Brock Purdy.
Hey, can you explain a streak, Ricky? Huh? Can you explain a streak to them? A streak route? Streak route? Streak route, yeah. Basically, it's just like off of the same locker stem that we was running. So you're gonna aim for that near upright on that goalpost and just haul ass, honestly. But you don't want to hit it until you get to the actual goalpost. So you got to keep that angle. It's a very thin angle up here. And then once you get down there, you should be aiming towards the upright. So your split's going to be out there, and you're going an inside step slightly up this. You do not want to touch a hash. Near hash. Does that make sense? You're hauling hash, bro. We're throwing it 45, 50 yards. Okay, let's go. Let's run it.
So it looks like Pearsall is on top of his P's and Q's. And we already knew that Brock Purdy has emerged into a veteran leader. So this should be a fun watch. Ricky Pearsall running his routes, and of course, Brock Purdy, who looks bulked up, by the way. I think that Brock has added some muscle, as he likes to do. I think he added about 5 pounds last offseason. Brock Purdy looking good. There's Mac Jones, the Jacksonville native. Obviously used to the heat. That's why he's wearing the long sweatpants. But Purdy has trained in Jacksonville over his NFL off seasons, while Mac Jones is from Jacksonville. So it actually works out really well for the 49ers to hold their summit in this city. Ricky Pearsall played his college football at the University of Florida. That is in Gainesville, not all too far from this meeting location in Jacksonville. And how about Pearsall? I think that he has bulked up. You look at the biceps, he's added some weight over the course of the offseason, better ready to handle that NFL load. But the thing with him, he wants to stay slick Rick. He wants to make sure that that footwork remains pretty, and I think based on everything that we're watching in these videos, that footwork still is there for Ricky Pearsall. Just his mental command of the game has always been really sharp. His dad was a record-setting receiver at the University of Northern Arizona, and I think that Ricky had it drilled in him to be on top of all the P's and Q's from a very young age. That's why he was able to succeed as a rookie despite all the adversity of the 2024 season. And now we're really seeing the physicality blossom for Ricky Pearsall. Fun to watch his YouTube channel, by the way. This is all from that. He just launched this not all too long ago. This might be the second or third video. See the outbreaking pattern there? That's a nice lunging catch for Ricky Pearsall. There's Mac Jones again, and I think we need to talk a little bit more about him because I think the 49ers have plans for Mac Jones, maybe at the cornerback position. Look, he's lining up to cover Ricky Pearsall. Maybe the 49ers need to bolster DB depth with Brock Purdy locking down that QB spot. I do think that Mac Jones might get cooked here. I don't know if the short area quickness is up. There he goes. Ricky Pearsall already has about 40 yards of separation. So no, don't play Mac Jones at corner, but yes, play him at that QB2 position behind Brock Purdy, because we have seen this 49ers offense, the Shanahan offense, back when Brian Griese was around, rehabilitate a quarterback before. I'm thinking about Sam Darnold, who might have been more physically gifted than Mac Jones, but the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan have obviously seen enough in Mac's processing power, in what he can deliver from his arm, to believe that he can become a serviceable quarterback too, and maybe rehabilitate his career to the point where he can earn at least a bridge starter position elsewhere. If you look at what Sam Darnold was able to do right after leaving the 49ers, he signed a $10 million contract with the Minnesota Vikings. That was a bridge starter contract. It wasn't a full-time starter contract. Then J.J. McCarthy tore his meniscus. Sam Darnold played well, continued playing well, and he earned the truly big money, $30 million plus, from the Seattle Seahawks. So now he's going to be in the division. But it's a success story of the 49ers system, and why not allow Mac Jones to try to rehabilitate his game in the same type of way. Cool to see him working with Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowing also in on it on some of these workouts for the 49ers. The summits in Jacksonville, and of course some golf on top of that for all of these guys. But But I always go back to Ricky Pearsall at the start of this video talking about the streak pattern that he was running and the minute details about angle, and Brock Purdy chiming in. I mean, those are the differences in the NFL between successful plays and plays that end up in incompletions or interceptions. If that angle is not precise, if the communication between the quarterback and the receiver is not exact, well, that's the window that opposing defenses have to break up a play. So if the 49ers want to get back to that #1 offensive efficiency in 2025, they're going to have to make sure that they are on the P's and the Q's. They're going to have to make sure that they are on all of the details, and that's what they're trying to hammer out right now. So what's next for the 49ers? Well, what's happening now? First, George Kittle at WrestleMania in Las Vegas. I'm assuming that George is slowly making his way toward the West Coast, because on Monday, the offseason program begins. We're going to talk to John Lynch on Tuesday, so we're going to find out soon enough what type of participation the 49ers expect from Brock Purdy while his contract is not yet signed. Obviously, that's a situation that we're monitoring closely. No updates to bring on that front, but it's going to be fascinating to see just how involved or how present Brock Purdy is while that contract is still being negotiated. OTAs do not start until May because the 49ers are still waiting for their draft class to come into the building. So you've got the draft happening Thursday. That will go on until Saturday. Following that, there's going to be a weekend break, and then rookie minicamp is in early May, right around the time of my birthday on Cinco de Mayo. Rookie minicamp will acclimate the 49ers' new players to what they're doing on the field to get them ready for OTAs. The backdrop to all of this, until it is signed, will be the Brock Purdy contract negotiations, and the real work is going to begin in earnest, 11-on-11 OTAs out on the field. Now, it's not going to be as intense as training camp. Pads aren't going to be on. This is not going to be a contact affair during OTAs, but I think the 49ers are treating this offseason as very, very important, given the fact that last offseason and in the off seasons prior to that, because they had played 20 games in the preceding seasons, it was all about just circling the wagons for the 49ers, getting healthy, resting, circling the wagons. They have now been inactive since that last game against the Arizona Cardinals, where Ricky Pearsall scored a touchdown and Brock Purdy even didn't play back home in Arizona. So they've had a long time since early January. They're chomping at the bit to get back out there. I think that they're healthy now. Generally, I'm sure that there are a couple guys who are still going to be working through pre-existing stuff, but they're healthy, they're hungry, and obviously they're not at the top of the NFL anymore. They're in a spot where they've got to work to try to regain their edge. So the work has begun in the Southeast. Right now I'm on the farm here in Franklin, Tennessee. Jacksonville, actually not all too far from here. That's where Purdy has done a lot of his off-season work. That's where Mac Jones has been back home. It's where Cowing and Pearsall came aboard. Nashville's actually where Kittle lives. He's done his off-season work here in Nashville before going to WrestleMania. All of this off-site stuff, though, the 49ers want to move it all back to the facility. They would like the Brock Purdy negotiation to be done as soon as possible. They would like everybody to be in there for OTAs and the offseason program, which formally begins on Monday. So we're excited for this because the NFL draft is this week. I know it's been a little bit slow throughout the month of April, but things are about to pick back up. Good thing that we're broadcasting in 4K because everything is about to get very, very lively around the 49ers.